Shawn Michaels.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. Come on in, man.
Hello.
It's good to see you.
There.
Have a seat. We're live.
Oh, tremendous.
Yes. So,
Tremendous.
Welcome.
Hello, sir. How
How
you
are you?
doing?
Good to see you.
Jim Norton, Sam Roberts. How you doing, man?
Doing good. A little busy, obviously, but not could be worse, right?
Yeah, you're promoting this movie. You were on Raw this week. You're all over the place today. I saw you on Fox News early this morning. Before we were even on, you were already working.
I was up at 5 o'clock.
Jeez. Are you an early riser?
I mean, I'm not that early.
Right.
You know, I 7 o'clock maybe. Yeah, but I got up at 5 because I feel, if I don't work out or do something to get myself mobile in the day, it's a little,
I don't like working out in the morning. No. Or the afternoon.
Yeah, but you know
Or
what?
the evening.
There you
Yeah, I just hate it.
I don't think you look the same in a tank top as Shawn does. So I think that might be the difference.
No, but he probably doesn't like it in the morning either.
I don't.
See?
I don't like it at all either, but I got to do it. It makes me feel better.
What motivates you to keep in shape? Because after you left the ring, it's like you could just become a fat guy if you wanted to, right?
And I sort of did, and I got to be honest, what kept me accountable, again, last year. Last year, 6 months out of WrestleMania, them calling and going, and we'd like you to come down with your shirt off and your gear. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
The shirt off was their call?
Yes.
So you're like,
And I'm like, oh, my goodness, you got to be kidding me. And so, you know what? From that point on, I just decided that, you know what? I think it's probably better if I just sort of stay relatively TV ready just in case.
How much
Yeah.
work did you need to do to get and take off your shirt shape at that point?
6 weeks of for me, because diet's hard. I don't mind training, but diet I like to eat. I mean, there's a 300-pound fat kid living inside of me just waiting to get out someday. And so the dieting was the hardest part. And so again, like I said, I've just and believe it or not, I mean, I get it's healthier and I feel better and all that kind of stuff. So really,
do you really feel better?
I do.
You do? Is
yeah,
that true?
I do. It's not because that's one of the things too. Again, you want to be like, oh, come on, this is no different. But it is. Again, the joints and all that kind of stuff. The hardest thing for me, again, is to get up, out of bed at 4:30 in the morning and go like sit in a turkey blind or something like that without training and stretching and all that kind of stuff. Again, my days go a ton better when I get up and I get active early.
Were you a fat kid?
I was chubby. I wouldn't say that I was, overly overweight, but I was thick.
So you were out of shape when you were a kid?
I was.
Did you get picked on?
I mostly got made fun of. We got a last name like Hickenbottom. People had, kids had a field day with that.
The problem with staying in shape, though, right, is that like wrestling fans are always assuming. Like I remember seeing you at WrestleMania, and you were in like literally looking at you is like some of the best shape ever.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so like the thought is like, oh, he's definitely coming back. Oh, yeah, because he's coming back. He's got to be coming back to the ring. That's why. And it's still nothing.
Yeah, no, that's still nothing.
You don't want, you don't want to do it?
No.
You should have you should have heard like on Raw this week. They're hyping the Royal Rumble, and I'm sure you could feel the crowd reaction when you're like hyping up the Royal Rumble, and then like all the people in the arena are going, "Oh my God, I think Shawn's going to say that he's coming back for the Royal Rumble," and then he goes like, "And with all that talent, it makes me realize I'm better off on the outside looking in," and the crowd just went, "Oh."
How come you don't want to?
Well, because I mean, it's one. I enjoyed doing it. I only wanted to do it while I enjoyed doing it. I wanted to. It's a busy job. I mean.
But you don't think like the one match thing,
No,
like the
and again, I get
or...
it. I could certainly do that. I don't know. I mean, that just to me, it's harder to do that. It was easy. Again, it's like the getting up early. If I'm doing stuff on a regular basis and make it part of my habit, part of my routine, it's much easier for me to do something just every now and then, or once or twice a year. Just seems like a lot. I don't know.
Right. Are you afraid you wouldn't be good at it?
Huh?
Are you afraid you wouldn't be as good at it anymore?
Well, I mean, I suppose I don't overly think about that. I mean, there's always a chance, and you get older. That's I would imagine that it's something bound to happen in that respect. But it's just I don't know. That's just not sort of I don't know what to say, but the way that I roll. I mean,
Yeah.
And the thing is, I can remember. And again, I know I still come back and do stuff, but I can still remember, sort of as a talent, sort of somewhat being offended when
The older guys would come in.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and take a big payoff or whatever. And so, and the thing is, I at least can, say, without a shadow of doubt, I've never booked myself. I've never called them and said, hey, I'd like to do something. Everything is a call, is an offer to me. Like you say, and I can't help what wrestling fans say, but it's like, people, it was a couple weeks ago doing stuff for Gavin Stone. And again, them asking me at the Rumble, I said, no one, literally no one has talked to me about it. I recognize it. Again, you guys have a field day with it, and you guys talk about it, and you say that they've talked about it and talked to me, but no one has.
Right.
You know what I mean? What I mean? And I don't say that because, again, I'm also past that. I'm 51 and I've done the teasing thing. I've done the, I don't, like one guy, like his wording was, I don't do anything. I'm just sitting here talking to him. There's nothing in my wording. I don't think enough to think about my wording.
Do they look for the hidden meaning in what you're saying?
There is no hidden meaning. And that's the thing. And that's honestly, again, because I get asked all the time. And because my wife doesn't understand either. It's like, dude, why don't we just go back and bang, make the payoff? And honestly, it's the greatest thing about, those matches is the after. Okay, it's the doing it. Mm-hmm. It's the doing it in the ring.
Right.
And then the after, when it's phenomenal, going, man, it was awesome. Sitting there with Taker and Michael Hayes and just basking in that, in that moment or whatever.
Did this, yeah.
You know what I mean? But the whole process up to it is just, it's, and I wasn't even aware of this. Just last year, I sat there and all I did was walk out for 5 minutes. And my wife sat there and looked at me the other day. She goes, oh my goodness! She, it's for the first time the light went, and she goes, I understand it. She goes, it's the whole process going up that you don't want to go through. She said, because she goes, I've seen you do it. She said, all you had to do was walk out for 5 minutes last year and kick somebody, and you can do that with your eye closed, and you still went into your, that place where you get laser focused, you get quiet, and then the 6 weeks of training. It's just like
which is why doing it for a one-off doesn't work for you.
That's what I'm saying. I can't do it the way. And again, it doesn't make me special. It just makes me strange or weird or whatever. I can't do it the way everybody else does because it's, if I'm going to do something, I want to put 100% of my time into it and make it good.
How long are you married? And did your wife see you when you were wrestling, or you newly married?
Been married for 18 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and like, the level at which you were working, even when you left, you were still working at your highest level. So it's not like you can come back and phone it in. Yeah. Like people are going to expect,
right? And exactly. Well, and let's put it this way: I could, and you'd get bashed for it, but at the same time, again, but who cares? I'd make a huge coin for it.
Right.
Right. But the thing is, I've never done it for that.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I can't. I mean, I just don't. Like I said, I get it. I'm a no good SOB. I was a sellout a long time ago. But all the stuff that people say about me. But look, I know the reasons why I wrestled, why I don't, and look, I don't want to. It's if I did it, I would be doing it just for the money now, and I don't want to. So I don't want to do that.
When there's a Photoshop a month ago, and I'm sure you heard about it when somebody put up a Photoshop of you and AJ Styles together at the Royal Rumble, and this is a match, and then AJ I think tweeted it out or something and got a whole bunch of people talking. When that happens, do you, even though you're not going to do it, do you like getting your name out there, or are you like, stop bringing it up?
No. One, I'm flattered by it. And I always look at it as, look, again, I've been very consistent since the time I retired about saying I wasn't going to. I've done no teasing. I've done no this. Yes. And still, 7 years later, it comes out despite my denial. Well, I mean, to me, that means you've done exactly what you're supposed to do in the world of entertainment, and that is leave them wanting more.
You said
and honestly, for the young guys who are really good on for that, again, I now get to be like sort of their Flair, like Flair was to me, and Tully and those, what I mean, and to me. That's flattering. It does, again, our generation is different than the generation before. Generation before us, they didn't like it, made them feel old, and like I can still go. I'll never retire. But me and our generation, we're good with that, and it's flattering to us.
It's exactly the same thing Stone Cold said. You remember? He was like, "Yeah, I'm not coming back even for one match. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it."
When you were younger, you said the older guys would come back, and some of the younger guys. So what happened? Like the Chief Jay Strongbows of the world would come back and
not that far. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not. Chief's even, I think, a generation, maybe even before
the generation before.
The generation before me. Yeah. But again, just again, other people that again, we're getting or just even being sort of I don't know. And look, on one hand, they've earned it.
Yeah,
they've
sure.
earned the right to do that.
And I'm sure you know that perspective now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And I guess that's the only thing I say is that I understand both sides of the argument, and that's the thing. And it's when it's an argument you can't win, really. And so it's like, so what? Why even get in there?
When you,
who needs wrestling is again, you get it.
Yeah.
It's a hassle anyway. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah,
Who needs the hassle? I'm 51, man. I've been through the hassle for 30 years. I think I'm good.
When you look at when you go back there like you did or whatever, and you see what the roster's kind of doing now, and you see because you were kind of notorious, especially when you were younger. Maybe I don't know as much in your later run if you felt the same way, but when you were younger, you were sort of really on screen, off screen, super competitive, and like you were fierce about it, and you made enemies. It didn't matter to you. It was just like, I'm gonna do everything that I think I'm capable of, and I think you did it. Like, do you see anybody that has a Shawn Michaels type of attitude? Do you think it's missing, or do you think that maybe if you could do it again, you wouldn't have made as many enemies?
Well, it's a couple different questions. I mean, one, you certainly would have, it's like, well, I'd love to go back and not make any of the mistakes or, anger anybody, but could I still have the same amount of success?
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? And that I don't know. And, again, that's like the, if the omnibus was there, we would have gone, we'd have tanked. And it's like, well, you can say that, but we don't know, right?
Right.
So that I don't know. Honestly, and I don't think, I'm not there. I'm there once in a blue moon.
Sure.
I don't, know enough about the talent to know whether they do, have their, again, there might be guys that, the time that I'm there is the day they're either there. I mean, there were a lot of people this last week that weren't there. Heck, Cena wasn't there. AJ wasn't there. I mean, there's a number of people I didn't see. And the thing is, you when you're there just one day, I mean, I only saw sort of a handful of people anyway. You don't see a lot of the masses. So, and I don't, it's a whole different generation. There's a lot of people I just don't know.
What do you do now? You're out of it.
To answer your question, I couldn't tell you. But I will say this: I don't think that attitude, one way or another, would make it anymore. Anyway, even if I was doing it, because I don't think
I've wondered
the world's different.
Yeah, and I've wondered that because
somebody to caught me on, had I gone through some of that stuff, somebody to caught me on a phone,
yeah,
it'd have been done.
How do you end up in a position where you can call your own shots? I don't even know if you could do that anymore. I don't know how any of that works. Obviously, I'm not a guy who's been in a locker room. But how do you end up in a position like you got in where you can kind of call your own shots and if you can, I'm going to go home now, I'm coming back now, and you can stay consistently in that main event level, and somebody like Vince McMahon is listening to you and dealing with you and not necessarily punishing you?
You know what? I mean, that's, and I don't know if it's like any job, but I think that is on an individual one-on-one basis. I don't think it has a lot to do with time or accomplishments or this or that. You know what I mean? I honestly think that is taken on a case by case.
So it's just the relationship you had with Vince?
I think so.
And your skill level.
Yeah, and I think that's all guys, and whether he agrees with that. I mean, clearly you can push sort of any idea you want.
It's not your fault that he listened to you.
Right. You know what I mean? But he's still got, he's always been the boss. He still is. He can, no is still always no.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, again, it's like you mentioned earlier about Cena, just because he says yes to John more often than he said no, is that John's fault? Is that what I'm to understand?
Right.
Right.
What I
mean? So,
what do you do?
And you wouldn't take the yeses, correct? Is that what I'm supposed to?
Yeah. That's not. That's not fair to everybody.
Right. I don't think me winning that many times is good for so and so or whatever. Yeah.
What do you do now that you're done doing this?
As little as possible. I try not to do too much. I honestly, it's I hang out with the wife and kids first and foremost. I've done a few of these movies. Which has been a great deal of fun. Do appearances, honestly. I mean, every now and then, once in a blue moon, I'm wandering down. I go to the Performance Center. That's something we're sort of talking about. But that there's whole lot of structure there that sort of scares me.
You're not doing-
job.
People like me, that looks a lot. It does. It looks a lot like a job.
Yeah.
Will you not do certain roles? Because I know you're born again, so there's certain things they might want you to do that you're like, I'm not comfortable doing that if you're acting.
You know what? I mean, and to answer your question, yes, but I honestly I don't know if it's the born again thing or I got one that was like it was a smaller thing. It was a horror flick, but it had, obviously not by me, but it had your gratuitous nude scene, and I just honestly, to me it was like, do I want to do a movie that my children can't see me in? And I just didn't know. Honestly, it's that thing, like, I don't know how I parent that. And it is. It truly is me being a pinhead, knowing because I've read things like, look, dude, if you're trying to start acting, you take every role you can get, and that's probably true. I just did not feel comfortable with it because I didn't know how to sit there and look at my kids and go, I don't want you to do this, but you know what I mean. And so, like I said, I said no.
What was it that they wanted you to do that you weren't comfortable with?
No, like what I'm saying, it wasn't them. It was the movie itself. I mean, like I'm saying, I was just, I think I was just gonna play one of the, like the axe murderers or something like that. It was in in a movie that again had nudity and stuff in it, and I didn't feel comfortable with that, and honestly, it is. It's for me. I will say that's the one thing that is synonymous with my wrestling career. I've got an artsy fartsy thing about me that, creatively, if I enjoy something, that's what drives me to do it. Again, because I did a small part in a superhero spoof thing that is absolutely just, it's 100% just silly and dumb. But I mean, it's my kind of humor, and it made me chuckle, so I did it. And of course, the comic book people that have heard about it, are killing it. And, like, how dare you make fun of the Avengers? And again, hey, I'm a huge Marvel fan, but it was just the stuff was so funny to me that that I wanted to do it. And so yeah, I mean, honestly, it's creatively what I like and what I don't like, I guess.
What's life like now when you see your old friends from the road? Because obviously you are, it seems like as far of a different person as one could be than the guy that you were when that was kind of your day in, day out. Like, getting born again, putting the priority on your family, like all that, I think makes you a different guy. When you guys get together, and I'm talking about like whatever it is, once every 2-3 years, whatever it is.
Right.
Is it weird? Is it just kind of like, okay, let's just kind of sit back and think about the old times?
No, because the thing is, and again, like, it's funny because like on one hand in wrestling, nobody is obsessed with the past more than wrestling fans. You know what I mean? Nobody talks. It's funny. I'm just saying, like, nobody talks about the future. You know what I mean? I'm all about the future,
yes.
but the thing is, even again, the born again thing. I hate to break this to everybody. It's been 15 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's
all
not
those guys.
News.
That's what I'm saying. This is not new. I mean, and all those guys that are friends with me, they've still been friends with me for the last 15 years. It's old hat to everybody else. Now, again, a book comes out, a movie comes out, and again,
sure.
and yeah, I mean, it's it's still a WWE movie, but yeah, there's an element of faith in this movie. And so, and of course, I'm in it, and here's a guy. So it all sounds like, again, like it's strategically done, but honestly, it isn't. It's become such a natural part of my life that everybody knows it. Like like the cat's out of the bag. It isn't really sort of new anymore, and so it's just me hanging out, and I don't know, and we do whatever, and.
How often do you go to church?
Home and that's it.
How often do you go to church? I thought it's part of it as a kid. I just never could tolerate the hour. I couldn't.
No, well, honestly, we go every. We're at a new place now that we love, so we're there every Sunday. And of course, we go Wednesday because kids do youth on Wednesday, and then we go to a service on Wednesday too. So
are they long services?
Technically,
Or no?
I guess it's twice a week. So.
Are they long services? Or
no, hour 15.
Okay, that's not bad.
So the movie, by the way, is called The Resurrection of Gavin Stone, and it's in theaters next Friday.
Yeah, it is January 20th. Now it gets it's monotonous if you don't like it, but that's the thing. It's it's not a force for us.
Right. When you want to go, it's probably different.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and that's when it's like it's natural. Same thing, dude. It's just like marriage. I mean, if it's hard for you to put in that hour, Yeah, you know what I mean? Maybe it's something you ought,
I think that's
maybe
what it
you ought
is.
to rethink.
Whenever I
You know
have
what I
to,
mean? Yeah.
whenever I have to be
May not
somewhere,
last long.
if I have to be somewhere, like when I was a kid, they made me go. If I have to be somewhere, I just wind up not enjoying it and getting freaked out. And wanting
Yeah, I
something-
get it. Totally get it. No, I'm with you. I don't like that kind of structure either. I mean, that's, but
Well, speaking of structure, let's go back to what you said before. What is the deal with you and NXT and going down to the Performance Center? Is that something that's happening? Are you going to go and be a trainer, or just be a pop-in guy?
Like I said, it has been, honestly, it's been loosely discussed. I've been down there a handful of times. Again, thoroughly enjoy it. I think, honestly, all of it is, one, getting the time, having my schedule, because it's just sort of been choppy, busy here and there, and figuring out what I can do, what I can offer, and then, because the most important thing, I think, and I know Hunter agrees, is consistency. And like I said, as I mentioned, in somewhat joking manner, that having a certain amount of consistency is good for me. I just don't know. I don't want to get outside of my wheelhouse and have it negatively affect them. So, like I said, we've
Right.
got, we've got to find a thing that works for all of us, and that's sort of where we're at, and that's tough. It's tough to do when both he's busy and then I've been busy as well. So,
Being a trainer for what? I don't even know what you're...
For WWE, for their
yeah,
developmental.
NXT, their NXT, their Performance Center. It's where they bring in their young talent and bring them up from there. But I tell you, it's a great group of guys to work with down there. Phenomenal, and again, I very much enjoy it. So I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time and working out, all the kinks and stuff.
I feel like depending on how deep you go on YouTube, you end up getting blamed for just about everybody that didn't succeed in wrestling in the late 90s. Is there one thing with all the Shawn Michaels rumors and hearsay and stuff that's out there, is there one that you're like, look, say what you want, but that one isn't true. I didn't do that. Is there one?
Again, and I don't mean to try to brush off the answer. There's been, because it really there's been a lot, and I don't mean to belittle anyone, but I've been so out of touch with a lot of that stuff for a long time. Honestly, most of them. I hate to break this to people, but there are absolutely millions of college players that are phenomenal athletes. Guess what? They don't make the pros. Mm-hmm. And the reason they don't make the pros is because only the elite do, only the best do. And the reason they don't is not because anybody held them back. It's because they're not good enough. And that is a tough pill for people to swallow.
You think people want an excuse as to why they don't get a certain place?
Well, but I'm just, again, the thing is, I'm not saying whatever. I guess I'm not saying that, I guess, bad things haven't gone on in the wrestling business. They certainly have. But at the same time, you didn't make it there. But I'm just saying, there's a good way to track that person's career.
Right. It wasn't this one moment.
Tell me exactly where they did make it.
Yes.
On top as the guy. Mm-hmm. Tell me that.
So someone could be a really great,
and then we can address it from there, I guess.
Right.
Someone could be a really great wrestler, but just be terrible on the mic and not make it. Are there people that are really talented physically that just stink on the mic?
Would you like to see somebody not do well on the mic?
Oh my God! Yes.
Whatever, like timing, and that's again, and look, I know, because I do. On one hand, you asked earlier, do you ever feel keep your name out of there? Because it is. I'm okay with, I'm going to say there'll be something on this interview. I'm not trying, I swear, as God is my witness, I'm not trying to offend anybody. It's just, look, I will be, you win, you're better, you're great, I'm not. You're
whatever
first,
you need to hear.
Right, you're first, I'm last. I'm 51. The competition is over for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just trying to be a dad and a husband and raise a couple kids, and then, again, if I can make a living doing other nifty stuff, that's awesome. But I'm seriously, I'll wallow in obscurity. And don't be afraid not to cover me. I'm okay. You know what I mean? I am okay with that.
Right.
And so, and I just know, and I always enjoy doing it with you, but it's you can't really talk about wrestling or any sports, I guess, objectively anymore because everything is I don't know, everybody's so like overboard about it, and that's what honestly I tell everybody. It's very easy to stay away from.
Do certain fans get
it's not fun anymore. I don't mean it. Social media, I don't mean to be cruel, but like you guys have made it no fun.
Right.
Do certain fans get obsessive?
It's their life. It's like Jim saying.
Do
like
they get obsessive? Certain fans.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, but I don't even know what it is. Like on what? Like do you really think? Like on one hand, Tom Brady, I know he is very appreciative for the support that he gets. But do you honestly think that he considers what it is you think and takes into consideration? Like, I think, that guy up there in 4B, I should probably start forming my game by what he's telling me to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, and if he doesn't, does that make Tom Brady a jerk? No, it's just, he's,
he knows what he's doing.
Or at least he's decided he's got his way of doing it. And because it's worked for him this long, sink or swim, that's what he's going to go with.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's better than you, doesn't, or whatever, all the stuff that goes through your heads. It's just he's got his way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it ain't yours. And let's at least, all right, let's give him the fact that at least Tom frickin' Brady.
Yeah.
So will people he's earned it.
Let's give him the benefit of a doubt.
Yeah.
Just let him.
And so that's I guess that's all I say. I'm not saying I'm right or this other. I do or did things my way. You like it, awesome. You don't, I'm down with that too. But I don't want to. It just I'm more in the enjoyment phase of my life.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I don't want to argue with you about it.
Right.
Will people approach you at weird places or times, like you're with your family and they just want to talk about it? You're like, ugh, I'm just not in the mood right now.
I don't want to.
No, I will say this. Look, the most of it. The greatest thing is only when I don't, because I enjoy you, Sam.
Yeah.
But it's only when I do stuff like this, anybody even brings up even remotely close any of the bad things or controversial times. I was telling, the guys, at Raw, I mean, I don't know if they do it on purpose, but they always seem to like put me with people that, like Enzo. He's showing me a picture of, me and him. When,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that, see, honestly, that's the joy that I get, doing stuff with TJ, who, I was an influence for. I mean, those things, and I don't mean to be cruel. Like, I don't care what you think of what we did. I mean, it meant a lot to those guys. And honestly, that's all my life is about, is special moments anymore. I'm looking at stuff in the rearview mirror. I run across, all anybody wants to do is take, can I get a picture? I used to watch you when I was a kid. It's, that stuff, that doesn't get old. Nobody reminds you of the crappy stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If the conversation is being recorded and there's like this like pressure, make sure you ask him because like if you're just having a conversation with somebody, honestly, anybody that's a wrestling fan, all they want to do is hang out with Shawn Michaels and be like, because regardless of anything we've talked about,
mostly just come up like, you can, watch this kid. Can I take a picture? You know what I mean? Nobody gets into like, let's talk in depth about that time and,
right.
Do you like acting?
I do. I loved it a lot. And I mean, and honestly, huge credit to, to Dallas Jenkins and Brett Dalton. Brett's he's a pretty big deal, and he was so cool, so helpful to me because I came in like, look, I don't know what I'm doing. So, I mean, I've on one hand, I've done it. I think I know what we're trying to do here, but I need you guys to help me. And they were phenomenal because it's, it's much smaller and much more intimate when, I learned in this, and I like the challenge. I mean, I thought that was really neat, and it's nice trying to naturally find somebody else, but still have it sort of work through you in a natural way. And like I said, that's all the kind of stuff. Even in the wrestling business, I mean, that's the stuff that I enjoyed. Yes, the physical part was fun, but when the camera got in close and learning to tell a story with your face and your eyes and a look and things of the subtleties, the details, that's where it really got fun. And that's as best I'm learning. That's really where the nuts and bolts of acting seems to be, is in those smaller, more intimate moments, and that's fun to.
So you guys are all great at improv too. Like wrestlers are usually really good on their feet and good at improv. So it's definitely helpful if you're acting.
Yeah, no, for sure. One, you're obviously very comfortable in front of a camera, and then of course when they, it's like it's twofold because you've been an athlete most of your life. You've followed direction, so you're easily coached if you've got a director that so they can have you a couple scenes like, do it this way for me, and then they say, okay, now let's do one with just you sort of doing what you want to do. And to your point, then you get to throw in, a little more improv and something that maybe you want to try differently. And that's, again, that's neat to be able to sort of have both in your toolbox and be comfortable with both of them.
Is it hard not to look right into the camera and point? That's gonna be the hard.
Sure. Well, heck, you kidding? Because I'm Shawn Michaels, it's hard just not to kick people every day. You know what I mean?
Before you came in, Jim was trying to figure out if the super kick was a better finishing move than Chief Jay Strongbow's tomahawk chop.
Yeah, but not a big Chief Jay.
Yeah.
I told him I preferred the super kick. I thought it looked a little more effective than the tomahawk chop, but
I don't know as much about wrestling as Sam.
not quite as much.
Not as much. But I'm old school. I remember those guys from when I was a kid.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the tomahawk chop probably beats as many people today as the super kick does. So I mean, one thing's for sure, they've gone way past me and Chief Jay. That's for sure.
Yeah, everybody grew up watching Shawn Michaels now, so everybody wants to do a super kick. So now you see like 7 super kicks every match. And
but I mean, as I say, I think the gentleman Chris Adams would be smiling right now for him to know that his move became, such a big part of the wrestling business. I think that's pretty neat.
That's got to be hard, though, to find something that makes you so, like, well, how do I finish this that's unique and it's a signature? There's got to be so many bad ones that people try.
Terrible finishing
Like, did you
moves.
have any that were terrible that you tried before?
Yeah,
that, like, ooh, that
I
stinks.
think, I don't know, terrible. I mean, some people liked them, but when I first went singles, I was trying to use what I later heard was called a teardrop suplex. I didn't, I just was the double underhook, like a crotch to guy and suplex him. So I was using that one, and then Pat Patterson came to me one day and he said, I like it. He said, but he said that kick. He said the kick is actually more impactful than the suplex. What do you think about using that one? And I was still new as a single. I said, sure, heck, I'm just trying anything. And so he did that, and then it just sort of kept going, and then whatever. And then you start adding some more flair to it, and then all of a sudden, and eventually you do it long enough, one day it begins to take on this life of its own and become something.
And you would kick in the chin? You would hit them in the chin?
Yeah, we'll give or take.
Close, yeah.
Theoretically.
That's still.
Sometimes, again, like sometimes I'd have to tell me, like, I don't know where that thing's going.
Believe me, I've said that.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and put your hand up because I have no idea where it might end up landing. So.
Well, listen, everybody should support and check out the movie The Resurrection of Gavin Stone. It's in theaters next Friday. That's January 20th. And Shawn Michaels, man, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
I love it.
This was fun.
Man. I love it.